Yeah, started recording.
Yeah. Yeah. So our first problem is like score of parenthesis. So given a balanced parenthesis string is, have to compute the score of the string based on the following rule. Empty will have a score of 1 and AB will have a score of A plus B, where AB are balanced parenthesis string, and this way we'll have two times of A, where A is a balanced parenthesis string. So for this we'll have a score of 1. So this will have a score of 2, 2 into A, right? I mean, it's following this policy this way, because outer this will contribute 1 and this is 2 into A.
Mhm.
Yeah, and again this is 2 based on A plus B. I mean, A and B are balanced parentheses, and every single will contribute 1, right? Right.
Yeah, correct, correct.
And this will be 6. Yeah, and these are the constraints for it. The length will be 50 and it will contain only plus and I mean open and close braces.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What should be the brute force here?
Well, brute force would be there will be many passes through the string.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know, like maybe a number of passes as the number of strings what you have, and every time you go and you actually try to find all these ones, right? The ones which are in example one combination,
yeah.
right? You start doing that, and then you start adding some numbers somewhere,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, but that won't be really good way of doing it, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It
Mhm.
will, but at a brute force, it should work, right?
Yeah, maybe one way would be like go from start from left to right,
Okay.
and whenever you start with something like you are balancing, right, of the open and close brackets,
Hmm.
some variable like that. Whenever your balance becomes zero, so that portion of that particular string, actually you can divide something like that, and then though that particular thing you can resolve it because it's completely balanced. So similarly, the other part also will be balanced if we have two parts, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then one pass you can actually take one part whatever you have, or maybe there will be multiple parts like that. So that you can take and do your stack method, the way we do for balancing of the stack. So we can go to the depth of the string, okay, to find out if we can differentiate between those example one case and maybe example two and example three. If you are able to differentiate them in each and every portion of a string, and then we can evaluate. I'm just thinking loud. Maybe if you are thinking about brute force, then we have a luxury to use a lot of other things, right? We are
Yeah.
not
No,
controlling
but
time.
this is the main crux for optimized also, the one which what you are mentioning.
But it's very difficult to even think loud. So I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
How
mean,
are
the
you
first,
calculating the score for the last? I mean, I did not get how are we calculating the score to begin with.
you have to follow these rules, right? So if this is, then it will give a score of 1. If A and B both are balanced parentheses, I mean, both of them are balanced, score will be A plus B. So for this, you'll have 1. Coming to this will follow the third rule, right? A, 2 into A. So outer will give 1. So 2 into 1 will be 2.
And where are you giving that A plus B? Oh,
Yeah.
that open close
So
open close. And how is it in the last?
your last will be like you start, this is a balance, right?
Hmm.
You start from here inside. So this 4 will give you 2, right?
Hmm. Yes.
2 it will give, and
Which will be 3. and then into 2,
3
6.
and 3 into 2. I mean, outside if you multiply 2 into a, they are saying, right?
Yeah,
6.
yeah, it's not so intuitive also. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, rules. Yeah.
So yeah, the stack approach or maybe the recursive one, what you have
Mhm.
implemented,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, recursive way at least is much
Easier
better to
because
relate, right? Yeah.
exactly. So what I'm doing, just I'm passing this is a string, right? The start index and the end index.
Okay.
And if right minus left equal to 1, that means single braces like this one, kind of. Then
Mhm.
you return 1 in that case as a base case,
What
right?
right minus left equal to 1?
Hmm.
Oh, that means any two characters.
Yeah, one open, one close. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to validate whether it's an open and close.
That will, I mean, in the recursion, the count will take care of it, right?
Mhm. Okay, so you're running a for loop and
Hmm.
you're running between those two left and right indexes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're checking for open and close. So when your count is zero, then only you go because your balance is zero. Then it makes sense to actually divide that. Hmm.
Further calls. I mean,
Correct, correct, yeah.
How are you dividing? What is I here? Where the balance is there. Okay.
yeah. I is the that bracket braces between.
So
I
you
mean,
are
index of the string you can say. Yeah, go ahead.
adding I and I plus 1, and then at the end you are doing twice of it.
All those rules I'm following. All these 3 rules.
I'm not able to visualize how it is following. Like, can you draw like some tree structure how this will go left, right, maybe for with the last example?
Okay. So what I'm doing here, you have this, right? Initially, what will happen? You will parse it. Your count is initially 0, right? You'll start parsing from left to right. So this is your left and this is your right. So left is what you say, open you'll get 1 for it, right? Then this will become 2. Now this will again become 1 when you are at this point, right? Now again you'll hit this. If you hit this, it will again go to 2. This will make it 3 and then 3 and they'll cancel it. You'll reduce to 0, right?
Where it will reduce to 0? 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it will go to 0 at the third last, right?
Third last, yeah.
Mm. So at that point, we are calling the recursion to.
Recursion. But we don't have any, I mean, we should have some more this strings to, what do you say, to go for the next call.
Mhm. So therefore, you go to the line number 15 in this case, right? Because you cannot break it down.
Further, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you go to the line 15. So in that case, you remove one of the left bracket and one of the right bracket. Correct. And then you pass the inner string. Now, when you pass the inner string again in this recursive function, right? Because now you're going in the recursive function from line 15.
When you say remove it, I did not get that part. We are not removing anything here, are we?
Removing in the sense index we are reducing.
Yeah.
But it is left to I and I plus 1 to right. So we are taking all the indexes. Oh, that I, yeah, I is, we are
These are the 3 rules. See, first we check at this point whether the given string is balanced or not, right? If it is balanced, now we'll start calculating the rules.
Right.
Because count is equal to 0, that means the entire string that they have given, that is balanced. Now you have to calculate what that formula you will have to use, all the 3 formulas, right?
Mhm.
So that only we are following here.
Yeah. So now you reduce both of these left and right, then you come inside this recursion again, and then you start from that line number 8. So now you can divide this string into two strings, correct?
Yeah.
So where you will divide is like the first open and close. So that will be at index 1 and 2, right? So count will be 0 at index 2. So your first line, which is on line 14, your helper function, left will be 1 and I will be 2 in that case. And then plus in the other right side will be, uh, it will be 3, right?
2,
3,
right?
4, 5, 6. 3 to 6.
Hmm.
Yeah, then you can easily go and you can evaluate the first one where it will return 1 from line 6. So you'll
6,
have
5,
1
6.
over here, right? Yeah. And then for the second, you will do that, correct? So you'll come again inside this. Okay. For the second, you can actually go again because you'll come again on line 15, right? Second, you'll
Hmm.
have to come on line 15. Then you break that again into 2, then again you remove those last two indexes. So it will be 4 and 5.
In that case, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So 2 into 1, that will come here as 2, then 1. 2 plus 1 will be 3, and then the external 2, which is on line 15, will be 6. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I still didn't get it. Like, so what all calls will be made in the last, if we suppose take in the last call, like, can we take how much part is called in the first recursion? So it is better to visualize. I'm not able to like visualize in this way.
Yeah. So see what we are doing. First, you made, I mean, we passed the entire string and you made sure that this is a balance, right? Now we are calling the helper function for elaborate. Wait, let's make a tree. So 0 to 5, this is right. So now count is 0. So here two calls will be made, right? One will be from left to I. So left index is initially what? 0, 0 to 0. The first 0th index it will take, right? Am I correct? Another will be what? Remaining 1 to the right. Right is what? 1 to 5. This call will be made.
Why
So
0 to 0? We are only calling when the string is balanced.
yeah, so return self helper left comma I means what?
So in the 0 to 5, it will be 1 to 2 and 3 to 5, maybe. No.
3 to 5 I didn't get how? Left is initially 0, right? That is the starting index, isn't it?
Okay.
This first call, starting index is left is what? 0, and I is starting from 0 itself. So 0 to 0 for first call, and this will go for the next call, isn't
Okay.
it?
0 to
So which
0.
Now further
example are
again,
you following, Shashank?
this one, last one.
But in that case, if you are starting from beginning,
Okay.
okay, your first index is 0, that is correct, the left one, but right one won't be 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It should be 7.
Oh,
I think it's the
0.
size of 8, the whole of the string.
Okay, okay, yeah,
5
then
to
7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, 7 you can make it.
0 to 7.
But then you are entering, then you are updating that count before going to the recursion. So it won't be a
Oh,
call from 0 to 0.
updating the count I didn't get.
So, okay, so first when we start, it is 0. Then in the first index, we make it 1. Second index, it will be 2. Third index, it will again become 1. Third index, it will become 2 again. And then 1, 1. So I think at the fifth index, when it becomes 0, we pass 0 to 5 and 6 to 7. Yeah.
Oh, can you draw that? I'm not getting what like
Uh,
if you
yeah,
look
I
somewhere,
can try.
you can draw it.
Are you talking about example 4?
Can I draw it? Sorry, I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Annotate it.
But okay. Annotate. Okay. Yeah. So what I was trying to say is, so at this index, my
Okay.
our count is 0. So when we begin, we keep updating. So here it will become 1. When we come to this index, it will be +1, which is
Yeah.
2. After this, we are hitting a closing bracket. So we'll deduct it by 1. So -1, it will become 1. Then again, when there is opening bracket, we are adding 1. So it will become 1, add 1. So it is 2 now. In the next iteration, again, it's a opening bracket. So it will become 3. And then there are 3 closing O's. The whole string is balanced.
Balanced. Yeah. Then we run the recursion.
And how do you divide it then in that case? 0 to
I think I made a mistake
I
while writing.
plus 1 to right.
So when your count is 0, the I will reach at last, right?
Correct. It will reach
Mhm.
Okay,
the
Yeah,
let's
I made
try
a
that.
mistake.
Okay, can we actually? Okay, I'll just. Can you remove this line? I'll just draw it here. Okay, so okay, you see this one now. I'll try to annotate. Now this 4, correct? Oh, okay, so we are following this one, correct?
Hmm.
So in this, now you came where you went through the whole for loop and your count was 0 at the very end, correct? So you
Yeah.
cannot go in this for loop. So you come out and then you come to line 15 now. So in line 15, you are actually going to reduce your leftmost one, that is this bracket, correct? And the
Yeah.
rightmost one,
Mhm.
correct? Shashank, you know about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, when you are going in this call, you are actually going with only the leftovers. Okay, so it will be like this, like this, like this, and like this only.
Where are you annotating? Like your annotation is not visible.
Okay, so I'm actually annotating on the. Let me change the color.
I can see it.
I'm actually annotating near the line 15. Okay, so you see this blue, close bracket, open bracket,
No, I
close
can't see
bracket.
that.
Yeah, I also can't see.
I
Okay,
saw that red color one, but
That
not.
is mine. That is mine.
okay. So in that case, so okay, forget about
Oh,
annotating.
actually, maybe I am annotating. That's why. Now you can try.
It was mine, red one. So actually, we are shrinking, right? I mean, left +1 and right -1.
Right.
Hmm.
So when we have reduced those two, left and right, okay, open and close bracket, so we are left over with whatever is that internal one, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so now what we can do is, let me remove these. So these, I can't remove yours, but I'll remove this one. So now we are only on the red one, what you have shown that, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
When you have shown with the red, now you can actually divide those whatever in the red. So the first two form a left wide. So you can go on line 14 now, right? So on
Hmm.
line 14, you can divide that.
Hmm.
So line 14, your left will be now 1 and the I will be 2,
Yeah. Hmm.
right, Shashank? So
Yeah. Hmm.
here it will be 1 and this will be 2.
Correct. Yeah, got it.
Okay, and then this will be 3,
Two right. Hmm.
4, 5, 6. So right will be 6, correct? So
Yeah.
now if you evaluate this, when you go in this one. So 1 to 2 from here you are going to return. So you will get a value 1 year.
Hmm.
So this is one you are going to get. So when you come to this right side, now you can evaluate the same thing for right again. The way we did for initially for the first one when we came to line 15. So you'll have to come again when you go for this, the right side function. So you'll come again on line 15 in that case, correct? So in
Yeah.
that case, again, you're going to shred those left and right again. And then you will be multiplying that by 2 into 1. Because you actually you're going to pass in this case 4 into 5, 4 and 5 only, correct? So then you will be returning back again from line 6. So it will be 2 into 1 in that case. So this will be 3. So when you come out, this will be 3. Okay. So you have 3 and this 1. So this will be 4. Oh, sorry. This will be 2, not 3. Right.
Yeah.
Santosh, I can't see anything
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I also can't see. I mean, I'm going on your words.
Yeah, even
Okay.
I'm doing so the whole time.
Okay. So then that is what it is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's first. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we got
So
it.
you at least got it what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we can't
understand.
see anything.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. There is something on chat.
Yeah.
Yes,
They
I
are
see,
also not
but
able to
one
see.
is
Okay, okay. Right.
Yeah,
So
so
into his words, so not able to follow.
this is more like divide and conquer. So
Hmm.
we are dividing the
Exactly.
bracket and then taking the final answer.
Yeah, I have another approach. I mean, I'm using a vector. The approach is similar, but I'm using another vector.
Right, sure.
What is the time complexity for this?
For 2 days. I mean, so yeah.
So it is linear, right?
Is it because within for loop we have recursion?
But we are traversing only in one part of the bracket and then going with the recursive call. So each of the index will be traversed. No, at max each of the index can be traversed n times, I guess. So
Should
it
be
won't.
I
n
think it should
into.
be linear, right? Why
I'm
it
not.
has to be, even if it is recursion, we are reducing always the indexes, correct?
Yeah, so twice, I guess, for each of the index we iterated through it in the recursion twice, I guess.
No, it should not be, right? So every time, whenever we go from a for loop,
Yeah. So take example 2 and index 3.
Yeah, we iterated
okay.
through the whole string and then took the substrings.
Yeah, so each of the substring will be traversed at most at least 2 times. Or
Yeah, but then that doesn't relate when it's recursion, right? So it cannot be
yeah.
single pass, two pass. Therefore, we always think it in terms of exponential. I don't know. Maybe where Shashank might be knowing more about that, right?
No, no. I was thinking like it should be like the length of left minus right into whatever calls those two functions are taking. I
Okay.
mean, if t of n if we take here, it should be exponential only. I don't think so linear it will be.
Okay. Let's see what Harshit has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty much on the same lines. I'm just doing some extra bookkeeping. So I'm using the stack to keep track of the index of my opening bracket, the corresponding closing bracket of an opening bracket. So let's say this example, right? So this is how much? 0, 1, 2, 3. So this vector en, it would be like this. For 0, it would be 3. For 1, it would be 2. So basically, at 0, I have an opening bracket, right? And it closes at 3, the index 3, right? So I'm storing the closing bracket index in my vector. Okay. Similarly, for this one, for the second one, it closes at the index 2. So I'm storing this in my vector. And this is how I'm doing it. So whenever I see a closing bracket, since this is a balanced parenthesis, so I'll always have a opening bracket at the top of my stack. Okay, and in my stack I'm pushing the index. Okay, so this vector at that particular index I am putting my closing bracket index.
Okay.
Does it make sense, or shall I go through this example?
So you are
Okay,
pushing only those
opening ones.
closing
Only the opening ones.
opening
Okay, so let's say this is the
on the stack you are pushing the opening ones. Okay.
right. Yeah, so initially I see a opening one, right? So I push the index, which is 0. Okay. Now again I see a opening one, so I push 1.
Okay.
So my stack is this 0 and 1. Now I see a closing one. Okay. Okay, so this is at index 2, right? So my I will be 2, right? So in this line, what I'm doing is en of top, which what is my top? 1, right? So en of 1 is 2. So essentially I kept track of this one, this inner bracket, inner parenthesis.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now you move on, you pop this out first. So you have this 0 in your stack. Now you come to this last closing bracket. Okay. And the index is 3, right? And at the top I have 0. So I do this en of 0 equal to my current I, which is 3. So this is what we get, right? 3 comma 2. En0 is 3 and en1 is 2. This makes sense?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now I know where my particular opening bracket is ending, right?
Right.
So the logic is, let's say, so I have to find the answer from 0 till n minus 1, right? This is the helper function. Now, if this holds true, then I just have this case, single set, right? Now, here in my en vector, I have the closing bracket index, right? So I first take that out and I check, is my right equal to j? Like, is the bracket ending at the last index? Then in that case, I make this call. Okay. So in this one only, right? I start with 0. I start with s comma 0 comma 3. Okay. And my right of 0 would be 3, right? Now, so how do I proceed? I just have to find the answer for the inner one, right? So that is what I'm doing. I'm doing I plus 1 and then doing j minus 1. Okay. And whatever the answer is, I just multiply by 2, because my opening bracket was ending at the extreme index, like the outermost index, which is j. Otherwise, if it's somewhere in between, like if my sequence is like this, okay, so my opening bracket is ending here, it ends right here, right? So I have to make 2 calls now, one for this one, my current one, and the other is for this one, the second one.
The second one. Okay.
So that is right plus 1 to j.
Yeah. So then you return back and then you actually add both of the values. 1 plus 1.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this is one way of doing. So, but you are using an additional stack. So Shashank was doing without a stack. That's the only difference, right? And there is some structural difference of yours because you are actually using the line 13 what you are using inside, he was using it outside. So
Implicit
somewhat
stack.
similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
He's using implicit stack. Yeah.
I think Harshit was little time optimized, right?
It's OFN only.
Both
Yeah, I
should
mean,
be same.
in case of Shashank's one, there's a for loop, and if there are too many brackets inside other brackets, then that for loop can iterate on the whole substring. And here you're not doing that.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
follow
here he is
Shashank's properly.
pre-processing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He is pre-processing. That is one. Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
So that is one advantage you are doing here. Okay. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
this is
Very
Harshit,
good observation. Yeah.
Harshit, why are you using a vector instead of map?
It can be anything, no? I just want to keep track of where my opening bracket is ending.
Yeah, but I think map will be a good fit in this
Map
case.
will be, yeah, but doesn't matter. It's just 50. So yeah, map.
Yeah, I
Map
mean,
could
like
also,
if bigger case,
right. Map could also work.
I feel like that's a better fit than the vector.
Yeah, true.
So either you pre-process everything, so you have that information beforehand, and then you go in the recursion. Yeah, that also makes sense. Cool. Yeah. So, but both are divide and conquer, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine
Both are,
is
yeah,
divided
divide
by
and conquer.
already.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Raj has shared something.
But it's very difficult to come up with this divide and conquer, right? Or no?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
stack can come to mind, but divide and conquer will not be.
No,
correct.
but that one also, even the iterative way, right? So that's not
Yeah.
so easy. I don't know, but this problem looks very easy, but it's not easy, I would say.
Yeah. This
Yeah, it's
reference.
not easy. I mean, you are using recursion and stack both.
So we have to study with different approaches. That's the only way. So we
yeah.
have these two recursive approaches. Yeah.
Raj is only using stack and doing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Raj,
Well,
you want to
Karthik,
share?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Share your screen, I think. I think he's on mute mode. Okay. So let's go to next then.
Yeah, I mean, I can share if you guys want.
Okay.
You want to see that or
Yeah, go ahead. Share it.
Okay, one sec. Share. Where is my tab?
Looks very neat, this one.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, similar, yes, but completely stack based. So if it is an opening bracket, similar, basically keeping track of opening close. So if it is open, I append it to the stack. Otherwise, we know it's a closing, and we know it's a balance. So either it can be just open and close. So if it else part means it is a close. So if the last one is open, means we have just a simple case of basically we need to append one, the example one case. So that's when I put it there. Otherwise, it's some sort of a nesting. So in here, basically, I keep on going until we have a opening bracket, and basically we have to add it. So that is like example 3. And so add it, and then basically remove the opening bracket and then multiply it and put it back on the stack.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
This is more cleaner looks rather than the.
This is like time complexity O of n.
Within for loop, there is a while. Okay.
Yeah, there is a while to go back. Yeah.
Yeah, so the while loop can at max go to n. So this is why this whole iteration can go up to 2n to n only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put everything on the stack, are you not going to again go in this while loop? Even if you put half of the portion in the stack? Or am I not visualizing correctly?
Let's
Will it
draw
not
it.
be n into n by 2? Something like that? No, it won't be, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it won't.
It
Yeah.
will go like 2n times max.
You can share this code right there in the Discord.
This is good. I liked it. It's better than the recursion. I feel so more intuitive.
Yeah, it's easy to visualize at least.
So you are saying this will be O of n almost, right? The linear one.
Yeah, O(n) or 2n, you were
2n,
saying,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
But still, like big O will be n. Yeah.
Okay.
And time, like the space will be also maximum, I guess, O(n) if it is just open, close, open, close, open, close. That many items on the stack. So space also
Half
is
the
O(n).
length of stack. Half the length of stack, I think. I mean, length
Yeah,
of.
right. Half the length of n by 2. Yeah.
Yeah, what is the type of element which is on one stack? I am not familiar with Python. Is it
String.
String.
String. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Python actually allows both. So I'm able to, that's another thing, I'm able to put the string also and number also. See, I'm putting number, and here I'm putting the character. So it allows to mix and match. So yeah.
This is a normal list. I mean, only name is stack, but it's a normal list.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I can stop sharing if anything else.
Yeah. You
Thank
should
you.
share this code over in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll put it on Discord.
Yeah, then we can move to next. So next is predict the winner. So we are given an array of scores which are non-negative integers, and player 1 picks one of the numbers from either end of the array, followed by the player 2 and then player 1, and so on and so forth. Each time a player picks a number, that number will not be available for the next player. This continues until all the scores have been chosen. You have to find the player with max score who wins the max score. Given an array of scores, predict whether player 1 is the winner. You can assume that each of them plays to maximizes score. Okay.
So this is one of the repeat what we did.
Max, what you
Yeah.
say, maximization.
So
But
in
that
that question, the
implementation was
answer
very
was
easy.
always true.
True, yeah.
So in that question, answer was always true. But here, we need to calculate what will be the optimal score of the first player.
Right.
Which
If
one are you
both
talking
the
about?
players play optimally. So there is a question again.
Alice Bob.
What was that jump again?
LX was there.
Can I win? I guess this is the question.
Can I win?
Okay. And but that also has many versions. It's not a single.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was another flavor to it. But in this case, if you see the input, it can be odd also. In that, it was always even.
Yeah. So this is a general implementation of that problem. So here there is both chances of either winning or losing, or even draw.
Right. So here actually we can use the optimal game strategy DP pattern.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think so we can use any greedy way.
No, DP, because some cases will be there where greedy will fail.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, he has to. Either of the player has to pick from the end, right? So if player 1 picks 1, so you can see. Then if he chooses 2, I mean, let's say greedy, I think not greedy. Let's say if he's picking the 2, then player 2 can choose from 1, right? Because this 2 will be removed, so he has to take 1. 1 or 5, I mean, it will be
Either
left
of
with.
it, 1 or 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either yeah. And if 2 chooses 5, then player will be left with, I mean, only 1, because 2 and 5 is already removed. So these are the scores which are added. For 2 it is 5, and for 1 it is 3. So for 1 only we have to check. Okay, then it's false.
Yeah, every time we check for player 1, and player 1 starts the game. Yeah. So he's not going to win in this case.
Okay, yeah.
Is it
You can only
because,
pick from the ends, is it?
Yeah, right or left hand, yeah.
so is it because player 1, if he picks either 1 or 2, next move, player 2 will always pick 5. So the score will always be 5 for the player 2.
Yeah, that's right. So
Is
therefore
it
it will be false
similar
here.
to that stone game where that maximum number of stones?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that is what was it, the stone game.
Yeah.
That was the problem what we are referring to. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Stone game 1, 2, 3 something, yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
it
think
is the same problem.
that one we solved it using recursion.
So this is also using recursion only.
The
That
memoir.
is solved with greedy also.
Yeah.
That can be solved with greedy also, right?
Yeah.
Because they have fixed that odd number will be, even number will be there, something like that. Because,
Yeah. So, but here we'll have to use our that DP pattern, the complete DP pattern. Yeah.
Why is it different here?
They're like, they told that the sum of elements in this will always be even, and if the sum is even, that means if we divide into 2 halves, both of them will be even. I mean, player 1, player 2, if they have equal scores, then both of them will have even number of value. Even plus even can only make even, right? Odd plus even will never make evens. See,
No,
even plus yeah. See, why even plus even can only be even, right? But had they given it odd, then what will happen? Even plus odd will become odd. So if odd and even is there, so somebody is bigger than 1. I mean, either one is bigger. Either of the player is having at least 1 point greater than the other. So there is a chance that anyone can win. But here, it's not possible. Whosoever starts the first, he will win the match.
Even plus even. Wait, so that stone game, as far as I remember, it was always an odd length list, so that one player will choose less piles or less number of stones than the other always. So are you referring that this input list length will be even? So
No, I'm referring the sum of the entire array elements. I'm not able to recall, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to go
Yeah.
to that again.
it was the restriction was on the length of the input, not the sum.
No, the length was even and the sum was odd. So when the sum is odd, we can always either choose the even one or the odd one. If the sum is always even, then there might be a case where both the sums of the players is even. No, both the sum of the scores of both the players will be equal. But in that question, we always had one winner only. So
In the stone game, we had even number of stones, but the sum of the array will be always odd, so that we don't have ties there.
Yeah. The
In this
main
case,
aim
it's
was
not
no
necessarily the case.
tie.
Even.
Yeah, so this is the general case of that question, where the length of the array can be even or odd, even the sum can be even or odd.
Yeah.
The total number of stones is odd, yeah.
Okay. So how do we go about this one?
So yeah, so we can always start with the extreme ends of the subarray and then simple knapsack approach, like we have two possible cases to choose from, either from the extreme left or the extreme right. Now, if we choose from extreme right, the left array will decrease, I guess. So now the next turn will be for the player 2. Again, if I choose the extreme right, the right end will shrink, and then there will be the turn of second player. So I need to choose in such a way that uh, both the players play optimally, and at last the sum of scores of each of the players have to be maximum.
Yeah. So whenever you, so there will be two cases always, right? Either you pick from the left
Yeah.
or you pick from the right. So when you pick from the left, so whatever results are when you pick from left or right, so you have to take the maximum of it.
And
But
reduce the size.
now you will be doing a recursion also, because when you pick from left, so whatever is left over, out of that, you will be whatever will be returning will be the minimum, because the other player will pick up the maximum value. Right. So in that recursion, we'll have another two cases for that player. And so whatever we return from that recursion, there will be two recursive calls. So that whatever is that minimum of it will be returned for our left side. So similar thing we'll have to do for the right also. Right.
You're following exact pattern of maximization.
I'm following the exact pattern, but you can
Yeah.
optimize the way Abhishek is saying. Absolutely right. Yeah. But then
No, I
what
followed the
happens?
same.
Sorry?
I followed the same solution.
Okay.
I followed the same solution.
Okay, because if you do an optimized version, it works very fine for this context. But then when you try to understand it very generic, and if you come up with some problems, so the patterns are always better, right, to remember.
Yeah.
What do you mean by optimized approach? I didn't get that. Like I understood what you said by like first move will be the maximum, and then the next will be minimum of the available.
It's like when you play, you try to get the max score. When others will play, you should expect that they'll return you a minimum score based
But
on.
after that one, because they'll also pick the maximum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why you
so
get the minimum, no? Because they will play optimally. So they'll throw you the minimum score. I mean, you should
right.
expect minimum.
Yeah, so we'll pick the minimum next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the optimized version will be like this, if you start from the left side, okay, so you will have some value. Okay, like in this case, if you pick from this 152, you will pick up 1. So then what you will do is you will pick up whatever is left over and you pass it to the recursive function. So whatever you get a score from that recursive function, that you just reduce from the one what you have on the left. So 1 minus that helper function. So that will be a very easy way to do it. So similarly you do for the 2 also. So you take 2 and then you again divide this other array from 1 to 5 and pass it to a recursive call. So whatever you get score, you reduce that from 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you find those two maximum of those two values, and then you decide if it is greater than 0, because then you are winning in this case, right?
Done. Okay.
Greater than or equal to 0, because draw is also allowed in this case.
Or you can sum the entire array also and just.
Yeah, so that would be one way to do, and that will be a very, what you say, a more exhaustive way to do, but it will at least follow that pattern. Yeah, to start with, actually, that would be a good way to do. Yeah, but it depends. So if you are able to come up with the optimized version, it is always good. If not, then the pattern is always, yeah, at least can follow the DP pattern.
Is it that knapsack? Because I don't know about that pattern. So
I mean, it's a mix of both maximization plus knapsack. Like,
right. Well, when Abhishek was saying about the knapsack, it cannot be exactly the knapsack way, right?
No, optimal.
Yeah, I was just
referring to
I was
a similar
just saying
pattern.
about, yeah. So we have always two choices to make from, to choose from. That is either left or right. So if I choose left, then again I will have two possibilities, which the second player can choose from. So, tot- so for left choice, the second player will have again two choice, and for right choice of player one, the player two will have again two choice. So this is why I pointed to the knapsack one.
Okay.
You want to share, Abhishek?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the DP which we will be using, which will give us the score of the player if the sub array left is from I to J. So if I am left with the sub array I to J, so I can have two possible cases. So case one will be left one. So if I choose left one, then the answer will be will be nums of I. Now since I picked the left index of the array, so the second player have from
Abhishek, it seems your voice is breaking, at least for me.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, your voice is breaking.
Uh-oh, he dropped.
Okay, now I'm audible, so I will just check.
No, you're still breaking.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, then I'll go.
Yeah. Can you go through that?
Yeah. So yeah, mine is this, like what I said, like what do you say? The helper function I have made, right? Where first I'm taking the sum of the entire array.
Okay.
What is that? Okay. And the array and starting index and the last index, and multiplying it by 2 and checking if it is greater than sum of nums, then player 1 will win. Yeah, more than half or equal to, you can say that. Yeah. So this is like you enter the DP state. If start and end both are same, you just return the from there itself. I mean, if it is present in your memo table already, the value for that. And now once the start equal to end, right? That means you have completed everything. So you just, or one stone you have, something like that. So you can directly put your nums of start or nums of end in that state, start command, and we return the nums of start. Otherwise, these are the two recurrence relation, right? The entire sum of the array, if I do. So if I take the, start element, then I'll subtract that particular, the value of that score from this sum and increase the start plus 1, right? And if I pick from the extreme end, then end minus 1, and I'll subtract that from my sum. And that result has to be subtracted from this sum. So this is again, what you were saying, no maximum, I mean, minimum score from his side. This is what is
So
being
this
done.
is an optimized version, what you're
Exactly.
doing. Yeah. Okay.
And
Why are you
rest is,
taking the variable and subtracting?
which variable?
This underscore sum, that is the entire sum, right?
Entire sum of the array, yeah.
Okay, so what is the intuition behind doing the subtraction?
So it's like, does that principle we are following? If you have to score from your side, you'll try to get the max score, right? And but when others will play, he'll return the minimum score to you.
because the other person also wants to win, right?
Maximizes his score, yeah. So yeah, maximize his score, and out of those two scores, whichever is max, that will take it.
So I think
For
what
both-
he is doing on the line 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Shashank. Yeah.
No, same thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I was trying to answer what Harshit's question was. So on line 14, the way I think, he is subtracting sum underscore sum minus num start, because he's taking the first case for the first player nums as start. So therefore he is reducing that sum. So the second player can only go with the remaining sum now. So in the helper function, he is reducing the sum because he is giving that sum for the second player now. Correct?
Yeah.
And the same thing he's doing on line 15 also, because he's subtracting the nums from the end side, from the right side. So therefore we have two cases, score 1 and score 2. And that
So
is maximized on line 17.
That's good. Yeah.
it looks like optimization because we can calculate underscore sum each time, yeah, because we know the start and end index. We can just sum from start and end, yeah.
Right.
Shashank, what does line 22 do? I mean, after you call the helper function, you multiply it by 2.
Yeah, that is more than half the score if the player is having, or equal, then it will. I mean, if you take two that side, right, half the score you will get of the array. This will give you the entire sum of the array. You will take half of it. So if this if the score returned on this is greater than or equal to that, then player one will win the match.
Yeah. So I
What
think
is the memo table saving? What are
The
the
start and end. What is the score? I mean, obtained till that point, I comma j. You can say.
so we are subtracting, what is the sum value initially? It's 0, right? Or it's the whole number and
No,
we keep subtracting. Okay.
entire array sum.
And then we keep subtracting the other player's sum to it. So at each, so memo table will only have one value, right?
One value, yeah.
Each
We are
index.
storing only one value, max of the whosoever achieves the score 1 and score 2.
No, so like as we progress from left to right, in the memo table, we say that, okay, if this is the like sub array, then that will be the maximum score of.
Score obtained till now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually on line 22, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what
If the array is 153 instead of 152, then what will be the value returned by the helper? Will it be 3?
You mean to say on line 22?
Yeah.
Yeah, so line 22 will always return at least half of the value, So because you are actually dividing your score between two players. So if you just try to assume that both of them are equally divided, it will be half, and therefore he is multiplying by 2, because the helper function will at the end will always return the value of the player 1, because we start from 1.
Okay, now if we take example 1, on the left side, we have been given like 1, 5 and 2. And so what will be the value returned at line number 20? It will be 3.
Okay. Oh,
I'm just dry running it in my mind.
Right.
Or I am wrong.
No, it might be. Yeah, we can actually go through that. Yeah, but before that, can we just see what Harshit wanted to say something, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Santosh, before that, I have one question. It goes back to that optimized and non-optimized approach. As you said, this is optimized. Can you just tell once which was the regular approach?
Yeah, we'll come to that later. I think we'll finish this one because we want to dry run, right? We'll come to that. Yeah, Harshit.
I wanted to start with that only. Like I take the first element and I make a call, or I take the last element and then I make a call. So the idea is that I should be taking the maximum out of these two, right?
Which one?
These two. So
No.
minimum of the maximum.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, therefore, in this case, this is an optimized version. So that is already taken care when you run through this recursive call, right? Because you reduce your sum always.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's
So
do a
therefore, you
try.
don't have to do the minimize, the maximize or minimize, whatever that pattern is.
Yeah, he's actually taking the score of the player one only, right? That is
Yeah.
why he's returning maximum.
He's taking the player of, so whenever he goes in the recursive function, at that time, he's taking this remaining sum, whatever is available for him. So whichever player it is.
So he's returning on line number 17 maximum, right? So I think he's focusing on player one.
So the player doesn't matter here
Yeah.
because you can always switch between players. So at the end, we have to just focus on maximizing the score. And at the end, we can even switch places.
No, but on line number 22, he's returning true or false, right? So you have
Yes.
to bias some player, right? So if I want to make the player one win, I think only that way this makes sense because he's returning the maximum on line
So
number 17.
yeah, on line 22, he's just focusing on getting the maximum score first. It can be player one or player two, but once he gets a maximum score, like there can be some combination which gets a maximum score. Once we get that score, we assign that particular combination to player one.
Yeah, because you start from player one, right? Therefore, on the top level recursion will always be for player one.
Yeah.
That is line 22.
So this is not for a player. This can be for anyone.
Yeah, helps just return amount for all of them. It just depends on parameters. Yeah, just starts and end. For some combination of starts and end, it's for player one. For another combination, it's for player two, and we just minus of all value minus for maximum sum for another values. Yeah.
Yep.
For another player. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay, so do you want to do the dry run the way Himanshu was saying?
Sure, let's go. So what is the array?
So he's saying 153 instead of 152.
So 153 is there. So we'll have two branches, right? Score 1 and score 2. So 153 means 53. Entire score is 9 first time, right? So what will have 9 minus the next call will be made for what do you say? If he picks the start one, right? So if he picks the start one, it will be 8 and whatever array is there. And okay, and 5 and 2 is left in here. So 0, 1, 2, 1 to 2 is the index. If he picks the first one, now if he picks the last one, then what will happen? 9 minus 2 will be 7, and this will be between 0 and 1, right? Now again, two calls will be here. So this will be 9 minus. Now what is left? One between 1 and 2. So if he picks the first one, then our score is 8, right? Till now. So 8 minus 1 will be 7, and the only element left in my array will be 5. And if he picks the fifth, then 8 minus 5 will be 3. So 9 minus 3, and we'll be left with only 1. Isn't it? And for this call, so we took there what? 2 we have taken. So 1 and 5 is the option. So if I take 1, it will be 9 minus 6, 5. And if we take 5, then it will be what? 9 minus 7 minus 5 will be 2. And we'll be left with element 1. Right? Now here we have only single element, start equal to end, right? So 9 minus 5, what will happen? 7 minus 5,
No,
2.
Wait. In your second call, you have 6, 5. Okay.
No,
so
6
this
is
should
the
be
sum
1,
there.
right? This should be 1, I think. 6, 1.
No. See, here 7 was
No,
the.
I'm saying the index. You have written the element.
Yeah, I've written the element. Yeah, it should be 1. Yeah, okay, make it. I wrote the
Later on,
element.
it might create a confusion. No?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Here
And
also
in the
I think
second call, it is 9 minus.
element 1.
Okay, this is cool. The second call is cool, right? No, it should be 0, right? In your 2,0.
Can you annotate which one?
Okay. This one. It should be 2,0. Right?
Yeah, I wrote the element only. Yeah, it should be 0. I mean 1. I wrote this index. Yeah, okay. So when you are at this call, you are left with single 5, right? I mean, so 7 minus 5 will be 2, and 9 minus 2 will be 7. So it will return 7 from here. This will get the function. I mean 7. No, sorry. Max of these two. This will return 7, and this will be what? 3 minus 1, 2, and 9 minus 2 will be 7. Sorry, this is the index. This is the index, right? Yeah, it is the index. 3 minus 7. So 7 max will be 7. So 9 minus 7, it will return 2 to this tree. And coming to this part, so 2 and 0th index is there. 2 minus 1 is 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. So this branch is having 8. And 6 minus 5 is 1. 9 minus 1, this is 8. So a max of these two will be what? 8. It will return 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. So 2 and 1 maximum will be 2. So who won first?
Shashank, in the last one, 9 minus 2 of 0, how do you get 8?
This one you are saying?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
So you are left with a score of 2, right? At this point. And you have only one element is the 1. This 1 is only left, 0th index. So 2 minus 1 you will do, which is 1. And 9 minus 1 will be 8.
Where do you do this 2 minus 1?
2 minus for the last call will do, right?
You just have one element, right? So where are you doing?
Oh, we'll return directly that, right?
Sorry?
We'll directly return that element, right?
Yeah, you're returning the element, right? On line number 12.
Yeah, I made it. So, okay. So if it is 0, then 1 it will return. So 9 minus, okay, 1 it will return. So 9 minus 1 will be 8, right? Then.
Right.
So that's why this 8.
So in fact, in the left call also, you are returning 7. I think it should be 9 minus 1, 9 minus 5. So you return 4 here instead of 7.
4 it will return. Okay. And here will be your, here also it will be 4 only, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it will return 4, and 9 minus 4, this will be 5. And from this side also, I think it will return 8 only, and 8 will max of the 8 will go here, and 9 minus 8 will be 1. So 4 and 1 max is 4. Right.
I'm imagining how can the person pick 4?
Because total sum is what? 5, 3, 8 plus 1, 9. And 9 by 2, if you do, at least half the score is 4, right? If 3 is the here, I mean, not 2, 3. 1, 5,
Okay,
3.
so the array is 1, 5, 3.
Yeah. Himanshu told 3.
Yeah, we started with that 1, 5, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, make some sense. Yeah. No, yeah. Only this tree is slightly complex, but yeah, I get the point.
I mean, here we have repeated
So
problems.
even if it is 1, 5, 3, still the player one doesn't win here. It will return false in this case also.
Why? It return, the result here we got is 4. 4 into 2, which is greater than equal to 9. Yeah. Player 1 lost the match.
Yeah, player 1.
So he will lose, yeah.
Hey Shashank, so one more question now.
Yeah,
If we have 1, 5, 4, then this helper would return 5.
1, 5, 4.
Right.
So 5
should
return
return
5.
So then you are returning true. I mean, you're assuming that a draw is like a win.
Yeah.
Your draw is a win.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they say. If it is a draw, then the first player wins. That's what I think the
Yeah.
description says.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
Abhishek is back.
so am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible.
you are awesome. Go ahead.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the DP state which we are taking into consideration. So it will give us the score of player if the array left is from index I to index j. Now there will be two cases to choose from, that is extreme light or extreme left or extreme right. So if I choose the left one, then my answer from the left side will be the extreme left, and then I will have two possibilities which will be dependent on the second player. Now the second player has this array to choose from, since I already chose the extreme left one. Now if he chooses I plus 1 index, then again I have the possibility to choose from I plus 2 to jth index. If the second player chooses jth index, then I have the possibility to choose from I plus 1 to j minus 1. So these two are the possibilities that I can come up through if the second player chooses any of the two extreme endpoints after I choose the left point in the given array. So this is why, and since the second player will always choose optimally, so I will always get the minimum answer from uh, both conditions. Now this was for the left case. Again, there will be right one. So if I choose the extreme right, that is the jth index. So I will just add the value at jth index, and then I will be having two possibilities again to choose from. That is, the second player will have this subarray, so he can either take the extreme left or the extreme right. If it chooses the extreme left, I have I plus 1 to j minus 1 left. If it chooses the extreme right, I have I plus 1 to j minus 2 left. So I will again take the minimum of both the two cases. But since I also need to maximize the total score of the player, so at last, out of both the cases, I will choose the maximum one. So, so since I had two cases to choose from, that is from right and left, so at last I will always return the maximum of both the scores.
Yeah,
Right,
this
right.
one's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I okay.
Why are you putting minimum?
So since the second player will always choose optimally, and he will always try in such a way that I will get the minimum possible answer in the next iteration. So this is why I have to choose minimum.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Since yeah, so player 2 will always try to maximize his score and minimize my score. So this is why min is placed there. But again, from the two possible cases, I will always have to choose the max one, since even I want to maximize my total score after the whole array is processed.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the normal way. Sorry, the DP pattern, right?
I think this is a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a
Yeah.
pattern,
So
therefore be followed very quickly.
Min-max, yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
if you
So
really understand what
I
Shashank was doing, it can also be a normal thing, right?
That is
You don't want
implicit
to know the minimum way,
taking.
if you actually
Yeah.
go back. Okay. Yeah, let's go through the code. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, I appreciate.
Isn't
yeah.
that what
So
Shashank was doing was a greedy approach?
No,
How
no,
can that be greedy approach?
Greedy won't work here, no?
There's a recursive and DP, right?
Yeah, yeah, DP.
Okay, okay, okay.
We have
The
to
question
explore
is
all
yes,
the
it's
things. Yeah.
optimal.
Right. Yeah.
okay. So this is the code. The endpoints are from 0 to n minus 1. And then this is the DP. We will come to the DP one later. So this is the base case when we have only one array, one element in the array. So I will just return that element itself. Now, if I choose the left index, extreme left, then again I have two possibilities. Uh, After the second player chooses, that is from left +2 to right, and then left +1 to right -1. Again, if I choose the extreme right, then I have left +1 to right -1 and left to r -2. So this, all the 4 conditions are taken care in this 2 line, and at last I will have to return the maximum score. So even the player 1 has to maximize his total score, so he will choose the maximum value. Also, there will be overlapping subproblems, so this is why DP vector is used here. And if we encounter any overlapping subproblems, so I will just return this part. And also after the
line number 90.
so yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, so after I get the score of player 1, I have to get the score of player 2 also. So what will be the score of player 2? It will be the total sum minus the score of player 1. So this accumulate is used in C++ to get the sum of the container. And
Okay.
since the score will be, in the accumulate function, we have to pass this initial score. So since I need only the sum of the containers, so I will pass 0 here. So this will return me the sum of the nums vector, and answer will get the score of player 1, and then I just have to check if answer is greater than or equal to, since they have mentioned that even a draw is considered as winning position for player 1. So this is why if there is equal to even, that means both the players have same score, then I have to return true here.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, this is
Yeah,
correct.
so I will just share my editor. There, I've so these are some of the arrays which I've taken. So this is the first test case, I guess. So in this case, the player 1 is getting score 3, and the score of the player 2 will be, I guess, 8 minus 3, that is 5. So 5 is less, 5 is greater than 3. So this is why winner is second player. Again, the second test case. So here, again, what the player can choose is, if he chooses 1, the first player chooses 1, then the second player has to choose either a 5 or 7. Now, if he chooses 5 or 7, I will be left with 233, and I need to maximize my score as well. So this is why 1 plus 233 will be 234, and this is always greater than the total sum minus 234. So this is why the first player wins here.
Okay, but let's say you pick 1, Abhishek here, okay, and
Yeah.
the player 1 picks. Okay, there's no way the player can pick 233, right? The second player.
Yeah. He need to
cannot.
maximize his score, so he will choose
Because
such
it's even
strategy
array.
that he gets. Yeah, so he gets the 233 at last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the player 2 cannot pick it. Simple.
Yeah. So this is why greedy will fail here, because if we choose greedily, he will go with 7, and then player 2 will choose 233. So in that case, player 1 won't win, but using the game, so using the DP strategy, he can always win in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sum is also odd, and the size is even.
Yeah, so this is one. This is the best case possible. Since the length is even and even the sum is odd.
Yeah. So if you look at this solution, and this is the optimal game strategy DP pattern, but if the way you are doing on line 37 and 38, you are getting minimum because you are taking into consideration of the player 2 conditions, right? So therefore you are taking 4 recursive calls. So instead of that, if you just use the 2 recursive calls with the way Shashank was doing and always keep on maximizing, because at every recursive level, you assume that you are going to another player, right? So every player will have to maximize his score, irrespective of what player you are, right? So you frankly don't need this. But to start with, I think this will be a better way of doing it because this pattern is very famous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Therefore, the optimization.
last time when we were
Uh-huh.
So last time when we were implementing the stone problem, so
Mm-hmm.
there I used the same strategy as Shashank one. So, but in that case, always the first player was winner. So I searched the related question. So I found it on Geeks for Geeks, and then there when I submitted the same solution, it was failing on some of the test cases. So
Yeah.
this is why I did not go with that solution. So
Yeah.
in some of the cases, that solution might fail,
Might fail.
but
Correct.
I think Lead Code has some simple test cases, so this is why it worked in here.
Yeah, but if you go to other problems of stone game, right, that series, so for some of them you will still have to follow this pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would always prefer to go this way because it's a standard pattern. Unless and until you are very confident about the sum and the scope of whatever your inputs are, then you can go with that optimized pattern because it's very easy to code. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if here on
The
line
implementation.
37, yeah, the L plus 1 and R, how do you take that? Sometimes very confusing. You'll have to think properly and you might miss some of the things when you're writing on a whiteboard.
Yeah, so the
Otherwise,
implementation is very small, but if we remember the main idea, so it is very easy to implement.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Let's move to next. So next is our like count.
Hello.
Binaries. Count binary substring. So we are given a string S and we have to count the number of non-empty substrings that have same number of zeros and ones. And all the zeros and all ones in these substrings are grouped consecutively. And substrings that can occur multiple times are counted, the number of times they occur. So these are the 6 substrings where you have equal number of zeros and ones. Yeah. And this is not valid because zeros are not grouped and ones are not grouped. Can go ahead.
Yeah. So that is what one thing what they have mentioned, but that's not mentioned in the problem statement, right? Is it?
You mentioned this.
Oh, they have mentioned group consecutively. Okay.
And yeah, these are the constraints and characters. So brute force would be like generate all the possible substrings and then check the frequency. Nobody will have to make sure that they should be grouped together also. This condition.
So we will generate only even length substrings, and then we will check if the suffix and the prefix is only one character.
Yeah, then we can do a 2-pointer, right?
Prefix, suffix.
Yeah, so that will be, I guess, optimized if we go with the 2-pointer.
No, I'm saying you go to a substring, okay, and as you said, you only go to an even length substring. So as soon as you go to even length substring, then just start a 2-pointer approach. Like start from your left and from your right, and check whether you have a 0 in your left and a 1 in your right. So if this keeps going on, till the point you meet, then that is a proper substring, right?
Basically, characters should be different. That
Absolutely.
left and right.
Yeah. So like this 0 0 you have, and this 1 1. Okay. So first you check this and this. So this is a 0 and this is a 1. So then you move it like this, and you will be moving till this point only, right? And this is also true. So once you cross, then before crossing, it is all true, right? So that is a proper substring.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But I don't think so. This is an easy problem.
This was not an easy problem.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it gave me a headache.
Yeah. Yeah, someone mentioned it's like a hard, easy problem, something. It is a different category.
Yeah.
how is 0, 1, 1, 0, all of these are in same group?
Where?
So in the example 1, we
Mhm.
are getting the number 6. Um, like it says equal number of ones and zeros in the same in the substring, but oh, okay, got it, no problem. I misunderstood the problem.
Here, I can just share you what I did. I'm still a little bit confused on this solution, but I'll just share you what I've got. This works, but yeah.
That before that. So what we just discussed, that was n cube, right? Me, Shashank, and Abhishek.
Oh, the way you mean to say the
Yeah,
brute
yeah, yeah.
force?
Yeah.
Oh,
How can it be n cube? It will be n square, correct? So
No,
the
no,
way
So
because
n
Abhishek
square
was
for
saying,
generating.
yeah, n
So
square for
n square
generating
for
something.
generating the substring and
well,
again
okay,
n for
okay.
iterating
So
through the substring.
okay, no problem. So that might be a very brute force, but then you can have some what you say optimized brute force also, because when you are generating a substring, at that time you can understand, right, whether you really want to break down further.
Yeah, prefix and suffix sum then.
Yeah, so you can actually do that verification or validation, whatever it is, when you are actually breaking it down, right?
Yeah,
Is it not?
right.
all right. So the way I understood this problem is, okay, so we're given a string, count the number of non-empty contiguous substrings that have the same number of zeros and ones, and all the zeros and all the ones in this substring are grouped consecutively, substrings that are coupled. Okay, so if we look at this example, 0011, 0011, the output is sick. The reason why is like on the right, it's the same diagram, right? So 01 is one substring, 0011 is one substring, 1 and 0. So basically, we're taking into the account of a number of 1 and number of zeros. If they're equal, and there could be duplicates too. Duplicates are allowed. Then that will become a substring, and we just need to count the number of those substrings. And so my approach was, let me get the code too. Actually, it was not my approach. I found this on Lead Code, and then try to understand this problem. But it's an OFN solution. That's why I love it. So what the approach was okay, let's make the count 0, previous length 0, current length 1. Okay, so previous length is currently pointing at 0, current length is 1. Now let's loop through 1. Okay, now as we're looping through, when s stat char I equals to s stat char I minus 1, right? So if zeros and zeros, if these two are equal, increment the current length, right? Just increment this one. So what happens is when current length becomes 1, current length will be 2. So at 1 will convert to 2. When 1 gets converted to 2, then check is previous length okay. Okay, 1 gets converted to else previous length equals to current length. If so 1 gets converted to 2, previous was 0, and okay, so on first for loop, the current length gets incremented and previous length will not be equal to 1 because previous length would still be 0, right? On the second for loop, when it hits 1, at that point this one s stats are I that it won't be 1 and zeros won't be equal, and then it'll hit the else statement. When it hit the else statement, it'll first store whatever the value it was in current length and previous length and resets the current length to 1. So basically my understanding was when it hit this line 17 and 18, it was looking at zeros and 1. And once it found there was there was one substring with equal number of ones and zeros, what it did was, if previous length is greater than equal to current length, it increment that count, right? Similarly, as it's moving now at this point, the current length gets reset to 1. And now as we're moving, now it hits over here, then same cycle repeats. So currently it was previously 2, now it gets converted to 1. And that when the cycle repeats, it hits the this line again. And since previous length, at that point, previous length will be 2, and previous length will be greater than equal to current length, which will be 1 at that point. Then it looks at this these 4 numbers, 0, 0, 1, 1, right? And then it increments the count again. Consequently, it does that repetition, but based on what I was hand tracing this code, this is what I got. So it looks at 0, 1 first, and then that's why I color coded. It looks at yellow first, and it looks the red, and then it looks the 1, 0, and then it looks at these 4, right? And then it looks like then it looks the pink, and lastly it looks at blue. So it's taking every substring. And at the end, we return our count. It's hard to understand, to be honest. It took me a while to understand, but this solution works. It's an OFN solution, and yeah, whoever came up with it, pretty nice solution.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard, yeah. So even if it looks very easy now when it's implemented and you have explained it, but it's not easy to. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It is, yeah. You have to hand trust this course to literally understand this, but this is what I can come up with. I was looking at what substrings those numbers were looking. The magic happens right here. So once it does that, and then this checks it, but this is what's the core of the solution. And when this does this, the understanding was it was looking at particular substrings and incrementing the counts as we're moving.
Yeah, if we look at the line, could you please show your code? It looks like we add minimum between 0 and 1, to our count. Yeah, line 21. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's doing that whenever previous length is greater than current length, then I believe the understanding was that means we have a substring where 1 and 0 is equal, and it counts and it increments the count. That's how I understood it.
Yes, example, if we had 2 zeros and 3 or 4 1, we just will count two zeros and 2 ones. It looks like we take just minimum or between 2 and 4. 2, yeah.
Right, because there was equal number of zeros and ones on that substring. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky to understand, like I said. But if we hand trace this code, this is what I kind of came up with, and yeah.
So this is the most optimized approach for this problem.
Yeah,
I think so. It's an OFN, yeah.
Since we are not using any extra space as well, and just iterating through the string only once.
Yeah, it should be very fast too. Let's see.
Yeah.
So the guys you were actually talking about earlier about the brute force, yeah. So from there you come here. That's very good. That's right. But anyway, we have to start with that way, right?
Yeah. So from the brute force, we can use the extra space, and then we can optimize that space solution to this one.
Right.
Can I see a brute force? Maybe we'll have a better understanding. I'm just gonna stop my share.
Brute force, I don't think so anyone has implemented. They were just thinking loud, right? Yeah. So,
I can show brute force. I tried to implement it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it did not pass. Time limit was exceeded. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So brute force like this. So we have nested loop. Yeah. We check length of string. Yeah. And then we just check. Yeah. So we take first character. Yeah. First character. If they are equal, return false, and then write 2 pointers. Yeah. Write 2 pointers. If current character is not equal, first character from this side. Yeah.
Right.
We just return false. But you discussed, you know how to optimize even brute force, yeah? Well, how can we optimize brute force solution? It's interesting to understand.
Right. So what happens in
Yeah,
this brute
so
force, you know? Yeah, go ahead, Abhishek.
Yeah, time limit exceeded, it does not
yes,
work.
yeah. So what we can do is we can compress the string itself. That is, we can count the characters if they are same and compress it and store the frequency as well. So if we see the given test case here, which is 00110011. So we can store it as 02120212. So it will store which character uh, which we are storing and the continuous count of that same character. Now it becomes really easy to then take the final answer from that count character store container.
Oh, but you're talking about adding an additional space, right?
Yeah.
Without
So I
that
am
also you can do in
adding
this,
an
right?
additional space.
Because that will be
Yeah.
more optimized.
So yeah. So in the space, what we were doing is we were storing the count of the continuous characters, but instead of storing the count of the continuous characters, we can just use one or two extra variables to keep track of the continuous counts of previous similar characters, and then we can use the same operation which we did while using the space one. I guess.
No, but you can do like this also, right? When he is actually going in this function f. Yeah, Nick, can you share yours? Oh, yeah.
Just give me a second.
Because in this function, what he was returning, so we at least know how many zeros and how many ones are from function f. So if we take up whichever is the minimum, the zero number or the one number, so that actually you can directly add to your count instead of making it count plus plus. So you don't have to keep coming here over and over again. Right, because you already have that value. So in that case, I think your for loop will, the second for loop that is on line 22, you might be able to jump, because then you can actually jump your j directly instead of going from j plus plus always, because you have completed all I to j, right? Yeah, so that for
Or we
loop will
can
be
start
reduced a
from
lot.
the
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so or the second for loop can be started from the extreme right, and the so whenever we encounter that this function fsij is true, then that means that all the characters inside follow the given conditions. So we just have to consider the total number of substring in the case.
Yeah, and divide by 2 because they are all zeros and ones, so they are equal
Yeah,
number of
divide by
zeros.
2. Yeah.
So that should be more quicker to do, and it will pass in that case. But yeah, then it's not going to be brute force. Oh, my bad there. Yeah, good. Yeah, but this is good. Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah. So Abhishek, you wanted to share the one which you said you will go with the extra space, right?
Yeah. So yeah, so this is what I was talking about. So I will store the continuous characters and the count of the character. So when we go through this string, we'll see that 0 occurs twice, then 1 occurs twice again, 0 occurs twice, and 1 occurs twice again. So here we can see that when I am at either of the zeros, I won't get any substring previously. So I will always start from the first index in the compressed vector or map. So here I can see, so I have two ones continuous, and again the previously I have two zeros continuous. So here I can see that my answer will be, minimum of the count of the current index and the count of I minus
1. Okay.
Yeah, so this is very easy to come through. So if I am at this extreme end of this one, so here I can see that I have 2 1s, and previously I have 2 0s. So the total size will be 4, I guess, and then the total number of substrings will be 2, which is the minimum of both the counts. So this process will repeat for each of the index, but it will always start from the first. Uh, so it will always start from the first index of
First
the
index.
compressed. Yeah.
Yeah, because I minus 1,
So,
right? Okay.
Yeah. So this will repeat, and at last we will get the final answer. But again, here we can see that we are storing pairs, but instead of storing pairs, we could just store the frequency only. So if I go with the implementation, I have implemented a compress function here, which compresses the given string and returns it. And I always start from the first index of the compressed map or vector, and I take the minimum of the count of the current character and the previous character. So this is the brute force with extra space one. But since we can see that the vector here is using pair, but instead of using pairs, but we could just store the frequency itself. Since we know that the frequency of the continuous streams will be always a single character in the array. So, uh, so what I can do is the continuous count of zeros is 2, continuous count of 1 is 2, then again
All
continuous
2s, yeah.
count of 0 is 2. Yeah. So I can just use this vector as well, and again this process I can start from the first index.
Yeah, it makes sense because they are always alternating between 0 and 1.
Yeah. So here we could reduce the one of the space which it was using in the previous approach. So again, I use the compress function to compress the given string and returning a vector. But the vector has only one integer. So vector will have integers only, and these integers will be having the count of the continuous characters. Now, but since here we can see that here we are taking extra space. So what we can do here is, okay, so what we can do is here is, if we see this vector here, uh, we can always count the continuous stream of characters. And whenever we switch the character, we just have to choose the uh, previous two count of the different characters, I guess. So if I come at this index, I can see that previously I have 1 zeros clustered and 2 zeros clustered and 2 ones clustered. So I just have to take this step again. Yeah, so I just have to take the minimum count of the previous two clusters. And then when I start with this one, I can just replace the count of this cluster to this cluster, and the count of this cluster can move to this cluster. And again, when you will be switching the characters, I just have to take the minimum of the count of both the clusters. So this is what this space optimized one is doing. So this is the current one. So current will take the frequency count of the current cluster, and previous will take the frequency count of previous clusters. So I know that the first character, I won't go with the first character since I know that it will be either of zeros and ones. So I will always start from second one. And if both the characters are same, I will just increment the count of the
Correct
first
one.
cluster. If there is a switch, I can just take the minimum of the previous two clusters, and I can just swap it with so the second last cluster will be swapped with the second so last cluster, and the last cluster will start with the current I guess the so it will start with the current character repeat count.
Right. So we are switching over from that particular zeros and ones, right? So whenever you're
Yeah.
transitioning, then you have to do that. Yeah, makes sense.
So the count, since here we can see that we just need the count of previous two clusters. So I just keep two extra variables to keep in count these two part. and whenever I switch, I just take this. But at last, I guess when I am at this extreme right, so I did not take into consideration the last two clusters since there was no switch at the extreme right. So this is why finally I just have to take the
Yeah,
minimum
the last
count
one.
of
Yeah,
the
you'll have to
previous
come out
two
and do that.
clusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the
So this
best
is
way
how
to
we
do, right?
optimize
Yeah.
the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The complete intuition, the way you grouped actually, and then you remove that grouping part, the information of zeros and ones, and then you can come and relate with this. Or if you jump directly to this solution, it's very difficult for even you to
Yeah.
convince the interviewer.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
so
what
this
happened
is
to me.
why
I went
it
directly
Yeah.
to the optimized one, and I got lost.
Right.
it is
Yeah.
tagged
It happens
easier,
for
but
everyone.
but yeah, so it is tagged easier, but the brute force approach will be very simple to come up with, but the optimized one and the space optimized one will be at least medium or hard.
Yeah,
I guess.
agreed.
Yeah.
Cool. No problem. Yeah. Thank you. This was a good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I like how you approach from the brute force solution, then you optimize one more level, and then give the full optimization, because that's what interviewers expect, right, in the interview.
Yeah.
So,
No, for us
Yeah,
also, even
otherwise
to
if we
understand it and make sense, right?
yeah.
So, or else if you just jump
Otherwise
to
if we
the.